June 1, 2024. BJP won the biggest election in the history of mankind. 1 billion people voted in India in an election that lasted 44 days. Third consecutive term for BJP, undoubtedly the biggest and strongest democratic political party in the history of the world. But just 2 years later, something completely absurd happened. On June 6, 2026, a political movement called Cockroaches began taking over the streets of India. And the strangest part, it started as a meme. What initially looked like a bizarre student protest quickly turned into a nationwide movement, with thousands taking to the streets and demanding the resignation of one of the BJP government's most powerful figures, the Education Minister, Dharmendra Pradhan. Then on July 25th, something happened that almost nobody saw coming. Dharmendra Pradhan resigned. A movement that began as a joke had somehow forced a powerful cabinet minister out of office.
Managed to oust a cabinet minister while presenting a growing challenge to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
These kind of movements just need one spark.
But he has been ignoring the plight of the students for many years.
With many feeling their lives and futures are being ignored by the governing party.
Welcome to the Sleuthing Scams. And today we will be talking about how the Cockroaches took over India. It takes a lot of effort, heart and time to bring these videos for you. So kindly hit that subscribe button. This is our Patreon's QR code, in case you'd like to support the channel and help us continue making videos like this. To understand the video clearly, you need to understand why this movement began in the first place. On May 3rd, 2026, more than 2.27 million students sat for NEET, the nationwide entrance examination that determines admission to undergraduate medical programs across India. For millions of young Indians, this is far more than just another exam. It is a shot at becoming a doctor, changing their family circumstances, and building a better future. But just days later, everything fell apart. On May 12th, the exam was cancelled after investigators found substantial similarities between the official paper and a so-called guess paper that had circulated before the examination. The scandal led to arrests, including people linked to the National Testing Agency. The consequences were devastating. Reports linked the crisis to a number of student suicides, adding even more anger to an already shaken generation. But the real turning point came just 3 days later. On May 15th, Chief Justice of India, Surya Kant, made a controversial remark during a Supreme Court hearing, referring to some unemployed young people as being like cockroaches, and criticising those who turned to social media and activism to attack the system. The comment exploded across social media, and among thousands of angry reactions was one post from 30-year-old Abhijit Dipki, a Boston University graduate from India. He asked just one question: what if all the cockroaches come together? Within hours, that question would become the foundation of the Cockroach Janta Party and transform a viral joke into one of India's most unexpected youth movements. Within few hours, Dipki created a website along with social media handles of CJP. In a matter of days, the CJP had become one of the biggest political movements on the internet, surpassing the social media following of many established Indian political parties. It was spreading like wildfire, and the movement wasn't just making memes anymore, it was making demands. Within weeks of its launch, the CJP was calling for the resignation of India's Education Minister, Dharmendra Pradhan, holding him responsible for the NEET crisis. And that's when it became clear that the CJP had grown far bigger than anyone had expected. Suddenly, the movement began facing a digital crackdown. CJP's website was taken down, its Instagram account was reportedly hacked, and its X account was withheld in India under government orders. But it didn't stop there. Dipki's phone number was leaked online. But if the government thought intimidation would make the movement disappear, it had miscalculated, because the CJP wasn't ready to back down. And by June 2026, the CJP was taking its fight from social media to the streets. The movement began organising a series of protests, demanding greater transparency and accountability in India's examination system. But the real turning point came on June 28th. That's when Sonam Wangchuk joined the CJP-led protest at Jantar Mantar in New Delhi and began an indefinite hunger strike in solidarity with the movement. Initially, the protest was largely peaceful. Most of those on the ground were students, and Wangchuk himself had long been associated with non-violent protest. But as the days passed, the atmosphere began to change. At the time, Delhi police was led by Satish Golcha, who gave no room for any political interference. After 2 weeks of hunger strike, Wang Chuk remained determined. That's when the government shifted gears. All of a sudden, Gulcher was fired and was replaced by Anurag Kumar. And on the very first day of his appointment, Kumar called all the senior police chiefs in the area and worked out a plan to remove Wang Chuk from the protest site. Surveillance cameras were already installed at the protest, along with police in civil attire. And through this, Delhi police concluded that 6 a.m. would be the ideal time to remove Wang Chuk, as this was when Dipki usually took a short break and left the stage, and when there were very few volunteers around Wang Chuk. And just the very next day, when Dipki left the stage, police officials dressed as medical staff surrounded Wang Chuk and covered him with a white bedsheet before taking him away. Protesters who tried to record the incident were abused, shoved, and even their mobiles were taken from them. And that's not all. Even the electricity and mobile networks were cut off as well. The BJP and the police thought that removing Wang Chuk would somehow slow down the protests. But it had the opposite effect. And then, on July 19th, a handwritten note from Wang Chuk somehow made its way through his security and was posted on social media by his wife. In the note, he urged more people to join the protest and called on them to march towards Parliament the following day, July 20th. And at the very end, he wrote, "From my illegal detention." And after that, thousands of people started joining the protests. The police responded by putting Section 163 into effect, meaning that gatherings of 5 or more people were prohibited. And again, it had no effect on the people joining the protests. Police then went a step ahead and sealed the borders of the area. But then the police and the government made what would become a brutal mistake, one that would eventually backfire and contribute to their downfall. Out of nowhere, a truck loaded with stones appeared at the protest site. The CJP was quick to point out that, with the borders already sealed, there was no way for anyone other than the police to bring such a truck into the protest area. And when an inquiry was conducted, records reportedly showed that the truck had actually been seized by Delhi police 4 days earlier. For the protesters, this was the final straw. Anger that had been building for weeks suddenly exploded, and this may have been the last nail in the coffin for the authorities. And then the police took the final option they had left. The protesters, the majority of them students, were brutally beaten, and the streets were left stained with blood. And then, as usual, the violent gets defeated by a rebel. On July 25th, Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan resigned from his position, marking what many saw as a crucial turning point in the history of India. We bring amazing videos for you every week. Kindly subscribe to the channel and don't forget to click the bell icon.